Welcome to Sapience Learning, your gateway to book summaries.
Capitalism and Freedom by Milton Friedman. To the free man, Friedman wrote, the country is the collection of individuals who compose it, not something over and above them. That one sentence captures the heart of his philosophy, that liberty begins and ends with the individual. In this book, one of the 20th century's most influential economists lays out a bold idea: economic freedom and political freedom are inseparable. Whenever governments grow too large or too involved in the economy, both liberty and prosperity begin to shrink. Capitalism and Freedom is more than an economics book, it's a defense of the free society itself. Let's explore the 3 key lessons Friedman teaches. Lesson 1. Freedom thrives when government is small and decentralized. We often think of economics and politics as separate spheres, one dealing with money, the other with rights. But Friedman argues that they're deeply linked. A society that limits political freedom will also end up limiting economic freedom, and vice versa. He gives examples from post-war Europe and the Soviet Union. A British citizen, under strict state control of currency, couldn't even afford to travel freely abroad. An American, on the other hand, couldn't easily visit the Soviet Union because of political barriers. In both cases, government control restricted individual choice, whether through economics or politics. For Friedman, the solution lies in decentralization. The smaller and more local a government is, the less likely it is to infringe on freedom. The ideal state, he says, is one that acts as a referee, enforcing laws and contracts, but not as a player in the game of the economy. When markets are free, people have real choices: where to work, what to buy, and how to live. And those choices, millions of them every day, form the true foundation of liberty. Lesson 2. When governments fix the economy, they usually break it. After every economic crisis, politicians promise to stabilize the market. But Friedman warns, the more they intervene, the worse the outcomes usually become. He points to the Great Depression and its aftermath. In that era, the ideas of British economist John Maynard Keynes dominated, the belief that when private demand falls, government spending should rise to fill the gap. In theory, every dollar the government spends puts another dollar into the hands of consumers, sparking growth. But in practice, Friedman argues, this system fails. Why? Because governments move too slowly and too politically. By the time stimulus spending is approved and distributed, the crisis has often passed, and the new money only overheats the economy or fuels inflation. Worse still, citizens end up paying for it through higher taxes or reduced savings. Take the Great Depression itself. Rather than stimulating recovery, government policies, like restricting the money supply, deepened and prolonged the crisis. And decades later, Friedman saw similar mistakes repeated, from inflationary spending in the 1970s to the bailouts of 2008. In short, politicians may have good intentions, but when they tinker with the economy, they tend to create more problems than they solve. Lesson 3. Replace inefficient welfare programs with a negative income tax. Friedman wasn't blind to inequality or poverty, he just believed government programs were the wrong way to solve them. Public housing, welfare, and social security, he said, are bureaucratic, inefficient, and often make poverty worse. For example, public housing projects concentrate poverty, reduce private supply, and degrade over time. Social security, meanwhile, takes money from younger workers who may never see the same benefits when they retire, turning it into a hidden tax rather than true security. Instead of dozens of expensive, paternalistic programs, Friedman proposed something elegant and simple: a negative income tax. Here's how it works. If your income falls below a certain threshold, the government doesn't tax you, it pays you a supplement. That ensures a minimum standard of living without punishing productivity or creating bloated bureaucracies. Under such a system, welfare becomes automatic, fair, and far less costly, while still preserving individual choice and responsibility. The takeaway. Capitalism and Freedom is a passionate defense of individual liberty in both markets and society. Friedman reminds us that economic control is political control, and that every expansion of government power comes at the expense of personal freedom. He believed in a simple truth. When people are free to exchange, compete, and innovate, prosperity follows, and so does freedom itself. So who should read Capitalism and Freedom? The 39-year-old who loves political debate. The 22-year-old economic student learning about Keynes and Friedman for the first time. And anyone curious about how a freer market can lead to a freer world. Because in Friedman's view, capitalism isn't just an economic system, it's the lifeblood of liberty. That was Capitalism and Freedom, by Milton Friedman. A timeless reminder that when the government steps back, freedom and progress step forward.
We hope this book summary brought you joy and moments of reflection. Happy learning from Team Sapiens.